Wellness for Life is brought to you by Purim Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership, CHI St. Joseph's Health Weight Management Center, and Natural Alternatives.
Hello, I'm Matthew Kaufenberg, physical therapist and owner of Purim Physical Therapy. Today we're going to continue our discussion about you having the power to treat your own back pain. In our first episode on this series, we talked about who would qualify for this particular program, who would best benefit from treating their own back. In the second episode, we talked about myths associated with back pain, and we dispelled some of those myths. The third episode, we talked about different types of back pain. Today we're going to take one of those types of back pain and we're going to discuss treatment options. Today we're going to talk about postural back pain. Postural back pain is one of the most common forms of back pain, and what's really good news is that it's actually one of the easiest to treat. Now, in that third episode, I'd certainly encourage you to go back and look at those, and you can easily online at lakestv3.com. But I certainly would encourage you to go back and look at episode 3. In that episode, we talked about postural pain and what was the source of that particular pain. And I used a simple example of using my finger. So what I did is I just pulled my index finger back, and I said, now what if I were to hold that position for 6 to 8 hours? Eventually, I'm going to have a lot of finger pain. And that's because a lot of this soft tissue in the front of my finger is starting to get damaged. It's not wanting to be pulled in that direction for that length of time. We can use that same principle when it comes to the back. We spend a good portion of our time in a forward flexed or forward kind of bent position of the back. Well, that's against our natural curve of the back. Our back actually has a very natural curve in our low back. It actually has a curve that's called a lordosis, where it kind of curves inward. This would be someone who's actually facing this direction, and here's our low back, and as you can see, it should naturally actually curve inward. Unfortunately, we spend a lot of our time where our back is curved in that direction. We lose that lordosis. So when that back is being pulled in that position, all of that tissue, just like I did with my finger, all that tissue is being pulled and stretched. It also affects our discs. When our back is lost that lordosis, our disc, which is very dynamic, it's got a lot of fluid in it, all that fluid starts shoving backwards and it can kind of compress onto some nerves. So when we treat for postural pain, a lot of it is just restoring that natural lordosis. So we can have postural problems from sitting. So let's talk about sitting. For the most part, most of us sit in relatively poor posture. We sit where we lose that lordosis. We want to make sure that when we sit, we actually maintain that particular lordosis. So the way that we do that, we can use a tool. We can use what's called a lumbar roll. This is a simple lumbar roll, and it's very easy to use. You just put it right above your belt line, and you just place it in that position, and that just helps us maintain that lordosis. The other thing that I highly recommend, and this is for everyone, I highly recommend that you do an exercise every day while you're sitting just to accentuate your lordosis. So what I mean by that is you lose that lordosis, and then you come up and you accentuate it. And you just go back and forth 15 times. And to be honest, every 2 or 3 hours, this would be a great exercise for everyone to do. That's for sitting. Simple exercise to do while you're sitting. Use a lumbar roll, accentuate that lordosis. Now in standing, we can also have postural pain for someone who stands too long. So if you're somebody who stands and you start having pain, what's interesting about standing pain is often because someone has too much lordosis. So when we're standing, a lot of times we have too much of this lordosis. So this is a simple correction as well. All you have to do is minimize that lordosis. So what I tell people to do is you stand up nice and tall, kind of stick the chest out, and then tighten your stomach. So you just kind of tighten that stomach, and what that does is it allows you to kind of lose that lordosis a little bit. And then you also want to tighten the buttock, and that is actually a very good standing position to be in. You want to get comfortable with tightening up your stomach. You want to get comfortable with losing that lordosis a little bit, and that really will go a long way in terms of reducing your pain. Another common postural type of situation that I run in with is that people will come to me and say, you know what, I feel fine during the day, I go to sleep, I sleep great, and then I wake up in the morning and my back is incredibly stiff. That is a form of postural pain. Oftentimes we get into positions where we might be in that fetal position, we might be crouched, and that again is stretching all of our tissues out a little bit too much. So again, very simple fixes. Two things that I would recommend. I would get a night roll. All you have to do is, you could roll up a towel. You can get different lengths, but you could purchase a night roll. You place that night roll again right at belt line, and you bring it around you, and then you can kind of tie it together. And this is how you would sleep. You can sleep comfortably on your side. You can sleep comfortably on your back. The final thing with posture is we want to make sure that we're lifting properly. Improper lifting is a form of postural pain. So it's incredibly important to think about lifting. Now, one thing with lifting to keep in mind, we're going to go back to the disc. The disc is very dynamic. The disc has a lot of fluid in it. The disc, that fluid moves and shifts a lot. Right away in that morning, our discs are as full as they're going to be with fluid. So it's really important that we avoid lifting in the first 4 hours of every day as best as you can. Now, when we talk about lifting, use appropriate technique. Very simple. Keep the object close to you. Keep that lordosis when you lift. Bend your knees. And you also want to make sure that you tighten your stomach right before you lift. So as I go down, I want to make sure I keep that lordosis. As I go down to lift an object, my back is straight. I've got the lordosis. And as I'm going to lift something, I just gently tighten my stomach, and then I come up nice and slow. Postural syndrome, incredibly common form of pain, incredibly easy to treat. If you have any questions, give me a call at 218-346-2464.
Thank you for watching Wellness for Life. Brought to you by Purim Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership, and Natural Alternatives.